Conversations with Azu Ishekwele.
There's too much of a buzz out there, whether it be about the People's Democratic Party convention or the alleged genocide in Nigeria, for which the US President Donald Trump has threatened to enter Nigeria with guns blazing. All of these are critical issues, but in our weekly diary this time, we would rather consider an issue critical to the survival of a significant population demographic. Welcome to Conversation with Azu. Our column today is titled Thinking About Midlife. Are you aged 40 and above? Do you come close? Come close because we have specific news and information for you. Azu has a lot to tell us about technology and the exigencies of living, working, and making money in his new book, A Midlifer's Guide to Content Creation and Profit. Hello, Azu.
Thanks for having me, and I'm sharing my thoughts on this matter with thoughts ablazing.
Not guns.
Not guns.
All right. So for starters, you don't seem to get tired of writing books. This is like the third book in 2 years.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I've got 2 more books coming, which are books on how I wrote these books. So, but that will probably be maybe later in the year or early next year. But
this is already November.
yes. I mean before the end of the year, or perhaps before the end of the first quarter. But I think that I've been involved in literary work for the better part of 38, 39 years, and I've come to enjoy it. So for me, it's not a task. It's something that I enjoy and love doing. Especially when I see very clear benefits in how I might be able to share some of my experiences in the years that have fostered my career with younger folks. So yes, that's the motivation. That's what keeps me going, essentially.
All right. And in case you don't know, Azu's books include 1, The Trial of Nuhu Ribadu, and secondly, Writing for Media and Monetizing It, which is in 2 volumes. That makes it 3. It had Writing for Media and Monetizing It has a workbook, which follows the series. And then this one, A Midlifer's Journey. So who is a midlifer?
Yes, as you said in your intro, a midlifer is typically someone between the ages of 40 and 60 or slightly above. There's no clearly defined sociological categorization, if I may put it that way, but it's roughly assumed to be people within that age bracket. Yes, so between 40 and 60 or slightly above 60 is considered mid-age. Or midlife, and then end lifers would obviously begin from 65, 70, from 70. Then you enter into the end life phase.
Okay, so there's this saying, universal saying, that a fool at 40 is a fool forever.
Correct.
Which you've also stated in your column. And now, what does your book state differently that changes this narrative?
Oh, that's a very great question. So, yes, I mean, the saying that a fool at 40 is a fool forever is a very common one. But with the benefit of science and medicine and technology, we have seen quite obviously, and the amount of information about health and well-being and consciousness and awareness that people have, and improvements in sanitation and so many other things that we have had by benefit of research, we have seen, as has been very correctly said, that 80 is the new 50s or the new 60s. So what that means essentially is that what the book tries to do is to make is to introduce to midlifers how they might take advantage of their talents and resourcefulness. Remember, midlifers are people whose growing up years were also fostered by very important core values: the value of resilience and resourcefulness and the ability to adapt. And so even though young adults like to think that because they are digital natives, that some of us who are midlifers have been left behind. What I try to do in this book is to also introduce or help midlifers adapt and make that transition a bit easier for them, especially in the fast-paced, tech-driven world in which we all find ourselves. And I'll tell you a quick story. So a friend of mine who was my classmate, so obviously we are in the same age cohort, told me of the misery that he experienced when he lost his password. And he tried everything, and he tried to get he needed to make a quick transaction, but he didn't know how to get around it. All the prompts were telling him do this, whatever he tried to do didn't. So he had to rely on his son by phone to walk him through it. And at the point, even his son thought, look, Dad, this should be easy for you to do. Why, and he said he was asking himself, but why, so he just depended completely on help from his son. And I know how often we all face that, whether when we lose our passwords or when we reach a roadblock, especially we struggle, we struggle to do this. But part of what I have tried to share in this book is that it doesn't, adapting to tech does not always have to be a struggle. It doesn't always have to be a misery for midlifers that it currently appears to be.
Now, the important thing is creating content and making profit. Midlifers, with the example you just narrated, how do they begin to create content? Where do they even start from? Being digital aliens, as it were.
Yeah. So again, part of the inspiration for this book was from a book reading that I had, sponsored by the Nigerian, by the content board in Bielsa. So I met a friend of mine, Nengi, who was the founding president or chairman of the Bielsa chapter of the Association of Nigerian Authors. And he then told me, I went, of course, to present from the book reading of Writing for Media and Monetizing It. And so on the sidelines of that book reading, he told me how he sort of felt left behind, because Writing for Media and Monetizing It appears to be a book that speaks more directly to Gen Z and to millennials than it does to midlifers. So he said, look, so the things you have said in this book, I really don't get it. Because I have, in my time growing up and in my more productive years, I've written a lot of books. I've written a lot of books, pamphlets, and all sorts of things. Now, how can I harvest those labors for a benefit in the new world? So that's part of what this tries to do. How to help midlifers harvest part of their efforts in whatever literary or artistic form that effort may have been expressed. How to repurpose those efforts in such a way that you still make it relevant in the current dispensation.
Now, to the book itself, are we expecting a public presentation?
No. There will be no. There'll be book readings, obviously. There'll be book readings, but there will be no grand unveiling or public presentation, the type of which we had when I wrote the previous
How
one.
are interested members of our audience to get copies?
Oh, sure. So once you go to www.azu, and Azu is Alpha Zebra Union, that is AZU, www.azu.media, you would get all that you need to know about this book. And it's a book that has one of the most extensive distributions globally, digital distribution, of course. And part of the idea is there are only limited copies in print. Part of the idea is also when you are encouraging midlifers talking about tech and how they might adapt, part of the idea is also to get them to go to these new playgrounds or new bookstores where also where they can find copies of this book. And it's on Amazon, it's widely distributed on Amazon and other global distribution networks. So, but once you go to azu.media, you get all the information you need regarding how you might get a copy.
Well, you can see the book. It's a beautiful design, beautiful cover layout, and it's in very fine print, color, and it's contains interviews with midlifers, including interesting personalities like Teju Babyface. So don't miss your chance to get a copy. As Azu has said, it is on azu.media. Also, don't forget that the full text of this video is on azuishekwene.com. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our content. Thanks for coming on the show, Azu.
Thanks once again for having me, Jude. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Conversations with Azu Ishekwene.